Welcome to CEO Interviews, a production of AGORACOM in which we take the time to speak with small cap executives about recent important developments at their companies. With us today, I'm happy to have again Richard Groom. He's President and CEO of Urban Barns Foods. The company trades under the stock symbol URBF in the U.S. and on the web you can find them at urbanbarns.com. Now, for those of you who are new to the story, Urban Barns is nothing short of what I believe is the future of farming. The company's cubic farming technology and processes produce consistent, healthy, and fresh vegetables year-round in a completely controlled environment. Now, their produce is grown from non-GMO seeds, free of pesticides and other harmful chemicals, and all that is done using 95% less water than traditional farming, which is basically the topic that we're going to be here to discuss today. More than just lip service, Urban Barns Foods launched the world's first cubic farm in June of 2014, and the company already boasts tier 1 customers in the retail, restaurant, and hotel industry spaces. So the company's already commercializing. Richard, welcome to the show.
Good morning, George. Thank you for having me.
Richard, you're in California right now. That's why you're in a hotel room in this, and I'm sitting back at the house. You're in California, meeting with farmers, and all of us know that California is going through an incredible drought that could impact the food system. Tell us first, how bad is the situation out there?
Well, George, it depends on where you are in California. Right now I'm in the Salinas Valley, which is considered the breadbasket for fresh green vegetables and a lot of different types of fruits. They're not feeling the drought as much as many other places in different spots in southern and southeastern California, but they're wary of the fact that water levels are certainly going down, and they're concerned. And we're down here for a couple of weeks meeting with most of the large growers, medium-sized to larger growers, to see what kind of business opportunities that are out there.
Now, you just launched your first cubic farm in June of 2014. You're already having these high-level meetings in California. How did you get these meetings?
Well, we're fairly close to numerous banks, and there's a couple of significant banks that operate in agriculture, and we're blessed with the fact that some of our banker friends think this is an absolutely extraordinary technology that they are introducing to their clients, and we tend to obviously agree with them. And since some of these growers in Salinas Valley have been around for generations, some of the meetings we've had, there's 3 or 4 or at least 4 generations in the room, so it is really quite extraordinary.
So how are the meetings going? How's the reception to your technology? Because obviously you're presenting something that's completely different from what they've done. There have been traditional land-based agriculture for 4 generations, and here you are walking the room with cubic farming technology. How's the reception been?
Well, the reception is we haven't got kicked out of any meetings yet, and the average meeting is running between 1.5 to 3 hours plus, and there are a lot of discussion topics, everything from water to labor to GMOs to pesticides. And never mind the long-haul trucking and the 100 to 200-mile radius of delivery in the local environment. So what we're offering the growers is really a number of options to broaden their product spectrum, given them more financial options rather than being stuck in a particular location where there could be a substantial drought. And if there is a substantial drought in the Salinas Valley, their production could be dramatically impacted.
Well, and let's talk about that. You've got numerous advantages to your cubic farm technology, a number of them. But the one that's relevant here is the fact that you're able to produce fantastic product at incredible yield and use approximately 95% less water than traditional farming. So how are you able to do that, and how is that point on its own resonating in the meetings that you're having?
Well, excuse me, we have a chart on water that I can share with you. We'll put it up on our web later on. But the average lettuce grown excuse me, in Salinas Valley takes about, according to the USDA numbers and according to the growers that we've been meeting, is between 15 and 20, some say 30 gallons of water. And keep in mind that the lettuce that we're growing here in Salinas Valley is not a hydroponic lettuce. It's about 4 times heavier in weight than ours. And ours is running about 0.2 gallons to about 1 gallon. So really, what we do is we recycle the water as much as possible in our closed loop system. And when we distribute the water to the trays and the plants, everything is of course automated. We do that on every inventory turn as it turns through the system. So what happens is we only give the plants between 50 and 100 mLs of water at each turn, which equates to about every 2 hours or so. And that water is collected and rebalanced for nutrients, etc. So we tend to not, because of our closed loop system and the trays that we're dispensing the water into, the water doesn't seep down through the water table and get lost, and that's basically what happens in a irregular farm.
Is that something that's really resonating in your meetings there? Because obviously they're all concerned about water, and even though Salinas Valley right now isn't having a major problem, it's something that they've got their eye on. When you mentioned that point specifically, what's the impact in your meetings?
It's tremendous. Everybody pulls out their iPhones and they start doing the calculation of their water consumption versus ours, and then they multiply our consumption by 4. So we would be running at about 4 gallons of their equivalent head of lettuce. And we're not recycling 100% of our water as of yet. We're still working on the formulations with our scientists at McGill. But once we recycle 100% of our water, we believe we'll be down, on a 1 pound head of lettuce, we'll be down to at least a gallon or 2. Right now we're running at about 4, equivalent to theirs. Yeah.
One of your cubic farms, let's talk about yield for a minute also. One of your cubic farms fully decked out is about 60,000 square feet, which is equivalent to about 1.5 acres. How many farming equivalent acres of product are you able to produce with just that 1.5 acres of your cubic farm?
Well, on a 60,000 mock-up farm or barn, we would have about 48 machines. And those 48 machines, the Generation 4 machine, could produce about 7.2 million heads of lettuce, and that would equate to USDA numbers of about 163 acre equivalent. And if you account for their lettuces being approximately 4 times heavier in weight, that would give us about 40 acres equivalent to a normal farm.
So you're able to. It looks like you're able to reduce water costs by 95%. You're able to increase yield by 30 to 40 times, depending on the numbers you want to use at the end of the day.
Yes.
And you're able to do all that with non-GMO, no pesticides.
Yeah.
So is it safe to assume that the meetings are going well, and what are next steps? What are your next steps? How long more are you going to be there, and then what are you planning? What are your next steps plans after you're done with the meetings?
Well, we're very pleased with the feedback so far. Number one, and number two, I'll be here until the 15th. I'll be going to San Francisco and possibly Silicon Valley for a couple of days. But our meetings in Salinas wrap up on Wednesday next week, at which time we're really encouraged that we can start open dialogues and start some plant visits. First thing everybody has to do is come and visit the plant in Montreal, in Mirabel, and see what we're doing, because seeing is really believing. Once they see the machines in operation and the process and the cleanliness of the plant, that's really another story. And don't forget, there's a big issue of food security, safety, and traceability that we solve most of the issues on. And there's a big concern here about listeria. There are increasing incidents of listeria, so we're going to be beefing up our food security on the listeria side of things, and speaking to our internal consultants and experts on food safety with respect to listeria, because we certainly, touch wood, don't want to have any outbreaks.
Richard, on behalf of all your shareholders and all prospective shareholders at AGORACOM, I want to thank you for taking the time out. You're in California. I think that shows a lot about how confident you are and how things are going at Urban Barns, because you're really starting to step up communication, and just the fact that you're taking the time in the morning, early, first thing in the morning for your meetings to talk to us is fantastic, and we're looking forward to more great interviews like this in the coming weeks.
Thank you very much, George, and stay tuned.
You've been watching Richard Groom. He's president and CEO of Urban Barns Foods. The company trades on the stock symbol URBF on the in the U.S. And you can find them on the web at urbanbarns.com, or get to AGORACOM, punch in the company's name, ask questions, get your answers, have great discussion with your fellow shareholders, and watch all these videos if you're tuning in for the first time. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Have a great day, and see you soon.